to India like this before, so it was really hard, right? So let's have a quick look why our tours that we prepared together are so different from a typical India safari, right? So first of all, we are looking to have really small groups with a maximum number of 8 people. So you will be 8 people, me and the guide from Gaia Tales joining, which means you have 2 people guiding you, showing you all the wildlife. I can give you all my photography experience that I have, explain how to take the best shot, what to do, and this is only working if you're a really small group. And then we are really focusing on photography. So we are not just going there to see the leopard and I move on, but we are going there to really see and experience all the animal behavior, to do storytelling, because that's a very interesting approach to take wildlife photos, right? You can just take a photo, push the button, you get one photo, beautiful. But what you actually want to do is like you want a story. How do you embed that single picture in a story? And those stories can be so different. You can tell any story that you want with pictures, but doing this requires some training on how to approach that and why to do it. So that's very interesting for me. Then, of course, we get really exclusive access to some really nice ways to do safaris in Satpura. So we are not only in the jeep going around and waiting for animals, but we can also walk out. We can go by boat and experience wildlife from a very different perspective, which is not very normal in all of the national parks. And
Yes.
then in Beira, we'll experience leopard coexistence with shepherds, which is super interesting, especially for me as like a European, where we have a lot of conflicts between lynx and hunters, between bears and humans, between the wolves coming in. So it's very interesting to see how this works, because it seems like the shepherds, are really okay with the leopards over there. Why is that? And how can we, see what they do and maybe learn from them? Um, Very important on a safari with us, slow down. Okay? We are not in a hurry. We are not like jumping from one park to another. We'll just slow down. So all this stuff we are doing is focusing on the experience very slowly to get, the best out of it, the best out of the moment. And then it means, of course, sometimes you have to wait for the moment. Um, Last but not least, we'll limit the number of photographers per car to a minimum. So that means you will always have one driver, of course, and you'll be 2 guests in one car, and then either me or the guy joining in. So that means you have like a full bench in the car for you, for your own, and you can move very freely to get the best shot. And that's super important because I've seen safari cars with that they're just packed full of people, and that's nice actually, but packing so many people in there means as a photographer you cannot really move and go maybe down to get a good shot, or move a bit to look around the tree that is in front of you, stuff like this, and that's very important. Um, and last but not least, Gaia Tales, they have the best connections to the local communities you can expect, right? They know everyone. So Ratik, you know everyone, right? And that's super important, because just speaking the language is super good to get like the best, feedback, what's going on in the area, where to go, and so on. And somewhere we as like strangers would not be so much in depth in the knowledge here. So that's about India in general. Let's have a look to the tours, to the trips itself. Let's start off with Beira. Beira is a really nice trip that I want to show you. So when do we go? First of all, it will be 25th of February to 5th of March. So it will be 8 nights and 9 days. It's early spring in Beira, and this is ideal conditions for photography because it's not too hot. It can be very hot. I think it's like more than 40 degrees in summertime, and it's not fun to take photos in summertime in Beira. But in early spring, it can be quite cold. So for Indians, it's super cold. For Germans, it's like, well, we can wear a t-shirt. Um, but um, then the weather is just comfortable, as I said, right? Where do we go here? Beira is a really nice small village in the middle of Rajasthan. so you get a really rural experience here. The landscape is very similar to what you see behind me here. It's like granite hills, very open areas with a bit of trees, forests, and so on. Um, the good thing is Beara is not a national park, so that means we can move very freely with the cars, get close to the animals. And the amazing thing, for some reason, 30 to 50 leopards roam the area around that small village, and you'll see them basically everywhere. I think, in my opinion, this is one of the best places on earth to see leopards because usually when you go to Africa, you can see leopards, right? But they will be high up in a tree. You'll just see the tail hanging down, and that's it. But here you have those really huge rocks, and those rocks allow you to really get close, and you have like a non-distracted view directly to the leopard. So let me show you some pictures from Beara. So like something like this, where you also get interaction between leopards, is totally possible to get in Beara because there are so many of them. The other thing that you can get is really nice night shots. Because we are not in a national park, we can go when we want. So there is, a lot of options to move around even after dark, when it starts getting dark or before sunrise, to get really unique shots of leopards that are not possible to get either in African national parks or in any other Indian national park, because of course, movement of tourists is very restricted in those areas. Then, of course, you can get cubs if there are any. I mean, we can never promise that, but just imagine you see like a number of three small, cute cubs coming out of a rock. It's just beautiful. So what we'll do over here, we'll do daily jeep safaris, of course, to track the leopards. Then what I can give you is a lot of experience with the camera trapping. So I will bring some of my camera traps. We can place them together during the noontime when the light is really bad. We can place them together. I can teach you how to use those cameras to take photos like this one. I think it's really interesting to get so close to an animal with a camera to show the whole environment where it's living. And those leopards are just perfect for it, right? Then you'll see amazing sunsets in those granite hills landscapes. It's just, with all the dust in the air, when the sun goes down, you get orange, reddish light. It's beautiful. And I'll show you the lodge just after. The lodge is also great. So another picture over here, like this is one of those rocks, right, where you see two leopards. Of course, the picture was taken from quite far away, but you can the contrast between the color of the leopard and the color of the rock is just great. Imagine what type of shots you can get over here. I'm so much looking forward for that trip. We can do off-road drives because we're not in a national park. We have full flexibility to take any shot you want with those leopards. And did I miss anything, Ratik? I'm just so excited, right?
No, I think you've covered all the important points. Yes, definitely.
I see just still people joining in, so everyone joining in later. If you want to have a look, we'll record. I hope the recording works as expected, but I think so. So we'll send you the recording afterwards so you can see everything we're talking about. As I said, one of the very interesting things is like the Rabari Shepherd community. So this is one of the guys, and they are, just like this human being, so fascinating. Those guys living there in a very rural area. We will also visit them and see how they live, what they do, and also ask them like how is it like being with the leopards all day? I mean, they are just around their village. It's not like there's no fence, there's nothing. They are just maybe even in the middle of the village probably because the leopards would not care. Of course, they have livestock, so I'm pretty sure the leopards will kill livestock. How do the shepherd feel about that? What's happening, and so on and so on. All of this we can discuss together, and I think this is really a unique trip that I've never seen anywhere on any other tour that you could do to just go here. So let's go to our lodge. Maybe Ratik, you can quickly tell us a bit about the lodge, what it is, and so on.
So we are going to be staying at the Bera Safari Lodge, which is one of the older lodges that was made in Bera. And our host over there, Mr. Satanjay, is a brilliant wildlifer. He's worked a lot with conservation. He's fought and successfully stopped over 140 granite mines in that area, which helped preventing habitat loss for the leopards. And now, because of that reason, over the past decade, the leopard population has also thrived over there because of these efforts. And it's an ongoing battle always, because mining is a big thing in that area, and there's still few mines, but they're trying to stop them. And not that's about Shatrunjay, but this lodge is placed uh, aptly. We have a lot of granite hills close by, which are uh, very frequently used by leopards. And his ground network is one of the best in Beta. So his trackers, his guides that will be going with us on our drives are very knowledgeable, very experienced, and they know how to find leopards over there. And another interesting thing about Beta, besides leopards, you also might get a chance to see India's smallest wildcat, which is the rusty spotted cat. In certain areas, we might get to see hyenas or even sloth bears. And if we go to the Javai River, good chances of seeing the marsh crocodile and some birding. So Beta, besides the leopards and shepherds, it's still a very interesting wildlife area to explore. And because it's not protected, we have the freedom of moving around, but obviously ethically, moving around in areas and exploring it how we want to.
It sounds just great. Yeah, I can't wait to go there. Um, so let me quickly go over what we include in our offer here. So first of all, of course, you get the domestic flight in India from Delhi to Udaipur. Then we manage your transfers to the lodge. We manage everything, all meals included, and so on. We do, I think, 11 safaris in specialized cars with only, as I said, 2 guests per car. And then you'll have us and local experts, trackers joining to get the best experience. So it's not only us going around trying to find a leopard, but as Rajit just said, there's a really good ground network where, all the trackers are connected to each other. And if someone sees movement somewhere, we get to know it and we can go here. And I think for me, this is really an amazing spot to take photos of leopards. It's, as I said, I think it's the best place in the world to photograph leopards.
Definitely.
Quickly about the pricing. The pricing will be 4,900 euro per person, which is, I think, very interesting as well. If you have any questions about, inclusions, exclusions, and so on, just reach out to me. I have all of this here. I can discuss. We can have a just quick call, discuss what you need, what you look for, and then yeah, I can give you all the information. Let's move on to the next one. The other one is sloth bears. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a sloth bear, but you'll see one in the pictures coming up. We are going to Satpura. Satpura is a bit more south than Beara, but we'll go just after that Beara trip, so from 7th to 16th of March. It's early spring also in Satpura, which means again, we have really nice temperatures. It's not too hot, it's dry, but it's not super crazy desert hot, so it's really nice. And that means also the wildlife is much more active than in hot summer days, because you can imagine that especially the bigger animals like sloth bears or tigers over there, they would not do anything than sleeping all day if it's too hot. And also for Satpura, very special, there are not so many tourists. So it's probably one of the least visited parks in India, where you have very few people going. So it's not crowded. I don't know if you guys saw all of the pictures of those, crazy hundreds of cars standing around the lion in Africa, where it's really packed and nobody can really stay and experience because you just have so many people watching that single lion. You'll not have that in Satpura. We are trying to make that very like your own experience. So even if we are using 3, 4 cars all together, we would try to split and go to different areas of the park so everyone can have his own experience with the animals and then meet together. If something really spectacular happens, of course we would try to move together to see that thing happen, but in general we will try to have that as a very personal experience for you. Um, then in terms of landscapes, you get a lot of forest in Satpura. There's like sandstone hills, some rivers in the middle, and I think this picture really clearly shows how Satpura feels and looks like. It's, I think, very special is the Indian air, this like kind of, almost foggy air with all the dust. And when the sun comes through, it's just amazing for the photos because the contrast goes down and you get really soft, beautiful pictures. Satpura in general is just a very authentic off the beaten path experience. So that's why I want to go there and want to also take you there because it's so special in terms of how calm it is and how much you can relax here and experience all the wildlife. So what to expect over here? You have tigers. There are not so many tigers as in the other tiger parks in India, but there are tigers around, so it's very likely that you'll see a tiger. Um, the very special thing is the sloth bears. The sloth bears are kind of unique for Satpura. I think is the best part to see sloth bears. And those bears are super interesting because, the females, they carry their cubs on the back when they are smaller. They walk around on the roads. Um, they walk around those rocks. The behavior of sloth bear is very, very interesting. They also fight for their youngs. For example, if a tiger comes close by, the tiger should be really afraid of the sloth bear because they can be very aggressive as well.
Yes.
Then, in addition to that, you get Indian wild dogs. Um, this is one of the dog species that nobody has really in his mind, but it's a very interesting species. Um, and they are hunting in packs together, especially deer. And it's very similar to the African wild dog in terms of how they hunt, but nobody is really trying to to portray them, which I don't understand because I think it's really interesting, especially what they sometimes do. They hunt the animals, they bring them to the water and they kill in the water, which is just crazy. Imagine how the water splashes and how the deer goes down in the water, and you could experience that. And then, of course, they have some time where they feed on that animal in the water, and that's just amazing. Then we get like gaur and sambar. Gaur is like a cow species, is it right? Can you say like
Correct.
this? I think yes.
Bovines.
It's a bovid, yeah. Sometimes
Largest cattle in the world.
yeah, it's really huge. And sometimes it's called the Indian bison. So it's really huge. The males are black and like really like this, and the females are a bit smaller. And sambar deer is a really big deer actually, and I think is one of the main preys of the tiger, but also of the dolls. Um, then interesting, the giant squirrel over there. It's like this size, a squirrel like this size. It's just jumping from tree to tree, and you're like, are you a squirrel or what are you? And they are just interesting to see. It's not so easy to take good photos of them because they are always moving and never like stable. But if we manage to see one, we'll try to get a really nice shot of them. Then there is the Denver River in Satpura, and there, of course, we had crocodiles and turtles, and we can drive by boat to get close to them. And then, of course, you get like a lot of bird species like hornbills, owls, raptors, kingfishers, whatever you can expect. But our main focus will be this guy, which is the sloth bear, because I just think it's super amazing how those animals roam around and they look so slow, but they are very, alert all the time. And as I said, they can be very aggressive and dangerous. And on the other side, of course, we'll try to get the tiger. And the doll. I really love that picture of a doll because it shows so much how much they hide, and they are really beautiful. If you look closer, they're not just brown. They have this like beautiful necklace thing. I really like it. What you'll always find is langurs. And langurs, monkeys are just fun to see and take photos of because they're always moving. They show a lot of social behavior. So telling stories of a mother with a young is really easy with langurs. And of course, we'll also take photos of them. Try to get them in backlight where you can, the fur will really shine through there. It's a beautiful animal, even if they're very common. Let's not focus on only rare and shy species. Let's also try to take photos of common animals. It's not so easy to take a really good photo of a langur. So let's really focus on that as well to get a really, really cool shot. So you get a full portfolio out of that park, not only like 5 tiger pictures, right? Because there are so many around already. I mean, so what we'll do over here, as I said, we do daily open jeep safaris. So again, the jeeps are made for photography and for safari, so it's not like a closed roof. Yes, everything's open. We can walk and also experience like the smaller critters around, so like insects, reptiles, uh, and those animals will be hard to see from a safari car, but they are also part of this ecosystem. So let's try to also get those photographed, really nice shots of them. Then we can do a boat safari on the Denver River. We will track tigers, sloth bears, and leopards are also living there, of course. We'll do some bird watching and also do photography sessions. And of course, we'll relax in our lodge when the light is just bad. We'll not, take photos, but we'll come down. We can discuss the photos that we've taken, maybe, as a group together, discuss what we could do better, maybe have a different approach, try out things, focus completely on photography to, also learn from each other. It's not only me about teaching, but it's, a discussion with everyone to improve. So our lodge, it's up to you, Ratik, again.
So we're going to be staying at the Forsyths Lodge, which again is one of the first lodges that came close to this gate, Madai Gate in Satpura, and it's run by naturalists. So it everything is inspired by naturalists around there. The property is about 30 acres with only 9 cottages. So the remaining area is left wild. You have patches of grassland, you have dense forest patches as well, which allows a lot of wildlife activity within the property. So maybe you might be sitting out here on the deck and having tea, and you're seeing a herd of spotted deers go by. And it is a beautiful place. Lodge is very comfortable, and the accessibility to the gate is very close. So I think we are only 1.5, 2 kilometers from the jetty, from where you'll have to cross the river and enter the park. So Forsyth's Lodge is again located very well. The property is very interesting, and you might see a lot of interesting wildlife just within the property.
Which is also good. So maybe we can also place camera traps over there to see if we get any wildlife that's roaming around at night at the lodge, and take the time during daytime to teach camera trapping, to show you how to work with those cameras, where to place the flashes, the sensor, to get like some really interesting shots. And I think this is a really unique opportunity to do both, like not only camera trapping, but like mix both photography types, safari and camera trapping together. So I would be really looking forward if you join in here. Um, let's have a look at the inclusions again. So we basically do the same thing as in Bearer, right? So you get all the accommodation, of course, you get all meals, you have the airport transfer to Bhopal. Of course, you have the flights within India also included. You have those cheap walking and boat safaris. On my website, I have like a full trip outline listed, so you can have a look and see what we do day by day. You get the full photography guidance. Of course, all park entry fees and permits are included. And this is actually in India is very interesting. We need to book very early to get the permits. So we don't have like time until like 4 weeks before, because otherwise the permits are all sold out actually. So we need to be quite early to do this. And I just see this beautiful picture of the leopards. I just love it. Sorry for this. um, and that's actually included. The pricing for this one is 5,750 euro per person. Um, and I think that's also very interesting. So if you want to join in, reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss opportunities. If you have any special questions on what you need to bring, or clothing or camera gear, or if you want to try something special, we can discuss. And I'm really open for any suggestions. We are not like doing a big, travel agency thing here. It's just me and the guys from Gaia Tales doing it together. So we're not like a really huge travel company doing it. We are doing it. I'm doing it really for more for the fun part, for the experience part, because I want to meet you. I want to go to India together with you, and that's actually the reason why I'm doing it, because I just love photography, and yeah, I want to show you how beautiful those things in India, those animals are. So if there's any questions, reach out, please. happy to discuss. Just put them in the chat, turn your microphone on. It's just us here. I don't know if anybody is around who has a question or if we were just good enough to explain everything. I can imagine we were just good enough. Hi, we have a question. So first one. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting for the conservation work. So the question is, you have done a lot of conservation work. Could you please elaborate on the conservation work you aim to achieve with your visit in India? I think the biggest issue that conservation organizations have is visibility. And the only thing you can grow your visibility is, like, in my opinion, is pictures. Tell stories with pictures. That would captures people. So what I'm trying to do, give my pictures to those organizations to make it possible to, enhance their storytelling. Because as soon as you show pictures of the animal that you're conserving, people will understand why you're doing it, because they're just beautiful. So that's what I'm doing here in Germany with the NGOs, but also in India. And we are also trying to, get those people from the conservation to talk to them, to get their feeling. So in Beira, we'll talk to the guy from the lodge, and in Sapporo, we'll also have some specialists that we can speak to and discuss, the best, what their challenges are, to really learn. Because I think we are not very clear in Europe from a European perspective. We have no idea what's going on in India, and that's super important for us to understand, to help the conservation for this beautiful country. So next one, connectivity challenge. Doesn't matter, we have the chat. How do we communicate, Ratik? That's a question. If we are in the field, what do we do?
So if you get stuck inside a park, I mean, each park have their own protocols. When I was in Central India, the protocol was that if the car breaks down or if there's something, uh, the driver stays in the car and the guide walks to the closest outpost where there'll be a forest guard, and then they communicate to the office, which will send a rescue team. So in different parks, there'll be different protocols. You've mentioned Kaziranga, Manas, and Namdafa. I'm not very sure what their protocol is, but it would be similar to this. And yes, there have been times where I've been stuck in the park where my car has broken down, and for a few hours I've not seen anyone, and we don't have mobile phones to call anyone. So then you either wait for a vehicle to cross, or either the person driving or the local guide walks to the nearest outpost and calls for rescue.
Actually, for me, it happened only in Africa, where I was stuck with my car because it started to rain and we were in a very narrow road and it got very slippery. And even the 4x4 car just slipped in a hole, and it was it was crazy because we were stuck, and nobody was around, no network, nothing, and it was raining and it was getting dark already, and we were stuck in the car. And then luckily, we really saw some guys passing by, and somehow they had network and they managed to call the entrance guys, and they came over and helped us to get out again. But it was a challenge. And the other one was in Lake Natron. I don't know if you know, it's like a salt lake. And the guide that we had was not very experienced, and said, "Yeah, yeah, you can just drive, no problem. You drive here on the salt. It's safe, no problem." And at some at some point, it was like crushing in ice. So the car broke down, and we were like in the mud with all the wheels, and we could not move at all. And we
Oh,
were like 250 meters away from the coast of the lake.
yeah.
So there was no way to bring a car to move us out, because it was just too, and no other car could go there. But luckily, we managed to, like, move back and forth and back and forth. It's always an experience, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you feel safe while photographing alone in remote areas, or do you always prefer a group? So for this one, it really depends on where you are. I
Yes.
feel safe in the forest. I'm not afraid at all when I'm alone in the forest. That's not a big issue, because the only thing in India, you get a tiger or leopard. Well, you can handle that, right? But more dangerous is humans, in my opinion. That's really, I try to avoid humans as much as possible, especially in cities where I'm not familiar with the cities. I try to not go alone, especially when I don't speak the language or something. Um, Yeah, early warning. What kind of early warning system would make your work safer? That's an interesting one. I have no idea. I don't think my work is dangerous. Not at
It's, I mean, at the end of it, it's how you are in the forest, how comfortable you are being in the forest, whether you're alone or with a group, you're in a jeep or you're on foot. It's just how comfortall you are and what are you doing. So you need to always be aware of your surroundings. I mean, you hear alarm calls or you hear footsteps, you need to understand what could it be, and then make yourself safe. Either create distance or it's time not to disturb the animals, so get out of there. So it really ends up in how an individual behaves inside the forest for their safety.
So, yeah, I think this is exactly what you say. Next one. Do you think using your camera gear with GPS, D2M-enabled variables could help you send your location and safety signals without disturbing wildlife? That one is interesting because actually we never go to the true wilderness, right? Everywhere we go, there were humans before us. So I think there's no place on Earth where you can go without humans being around. So of course, in some very remote areas, that makes sense. If you're alone, I would say yes. If I'm alone somewhere in Kazakhstan, going for snow leopards alone, trying to find them, yes, I would definitely wear something like this, but not in a group if we're together. That's super safe. And the guys we're going with, they know all of this like their pockets, so they know exactly where to go, where it's safe, where it's dangerous, when to go, when it's raining, don't use that road, and so on and so on. So I would do that if I really have to go alone somewhere, but not for the normal stuff I do. How do you usually charge your camera and gadgets during long forest trip? Oh, that's electricity, right? With a plug.
A- and multiple batteries.
Yeah, multiple. You have a lot of batteries with you. That's very important. And then, of course, if in remote areas, you can take like solar chargers. And if you're lucky, you get enough sun to charge your batteries. Most of the lodges and areas we go to, they all have power supply. There's no big issue with that. So you can just plug in your charger and you charge your camera. Um, would you prefer a wearable device or a camera mounted module for safety alerts? I think wearable, because it doesn't make sense to mount something on the camera. The camera can get lost, but it's about to save me. I don't care about the camera. It's just a piece of gear. So I don't love my camera. I'm not one of the guys, loving my camera. It's just my camera. It's like the hammer of someone else. So I'm doing my work with the camera, and that's it. From a
Uh,
photographer's view, how can technology improve tourist safety without spoiling the natural photography experience? No idea how to answer that one.
I I didn't understand this one.
No, I'm sorry. We have no idea. Um, Next one. Hello, I'd like to know about wildlife sighting. It is unpredictable. What would you both say about capturing the perfect shot within a limited duration of time? How can guest photographers prepare themselves for the various possibilities of sightings? Oh, that one is interesting. Practice, 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 practice. So that's super important. Take your camera every time, wherever you are, take your camera and practice. It doesn't matter what you take a photo of. It can be your cat, it can be any bird, it can be your husband, it really doesn't matter. Just take the camera and practice to use it. So to really, the most important thing if you're in a park, paying a lot of money for safari, you don't want to think about your camera settings. You just want to take the camera and take the photo, and it just works. It just looks good. And it's not so much about the type of camera you're using. It's more about like that you have a lot of practice on how to set the settings and how to do it. And that's something you can only do when practicing, 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 right? What I do, I go to the zoo, you know, of course, I practice with the zoo or with like animals that are not so shy here, like birds going there. Tomorrow I'll go and take photos of swans, mute swans. They are living in the city of Munich. So we'll go there, take photos of swans. And they're just, white, beautiful birds, and they are super tame. So you can approach them, you can play around, you can play around with the lighting to really get some ideas on how you could do that in India. So you can really transfer your knowledge from what you do at home to the trip we're doing. Next one. As a photographer, what advice would you give to the group joining you? There is so much advice. It starts from camera settings, as I said, to some ideas on how to do different photos, because most of us, we are stuck in the way of how we do it, because it's the way we do it. But I'll try to develop with you your own photography language, so you can basically have your own style that can be recognized by others. And that's very interesting, because how to develop your own style in photography, I can teach you that. I can also, you know, when we see an animal, I'll I'll try to position everyone in the right place so you get the best shot. That's very important, because it's not only to see the animal, but also to take care of the background of the animal and so on. And this is just super, super important. So this is also advice that I would give. And then, as I said, camera settings, and then we will also talk about storytelling. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense to take another photo of a separate species. Like, you have a beautiful bird, you take a photo of the bird. Well, you need to capture a story in that photograph. And this could be a single photograph that tells a story. It could be a number of photographs telling a story. For example, if you have a bird that's just beautiful, people would say it's a beautiful bird. But if you display that animal like maybe very small in the middle of its environment, you can tell a very different story. You could explain this beautiful bird lives in the middle of the jungle. And stuff like this will try to not only make good photos that are technically sharp and good, but also to do more about storytelling, capturing the light. You know, image composition is also very important, so we can talk about that. And I will show you some tricks that I have to make sure that I have the animals aligned the way they look good and stuff like this. So yeah. Ratik, you speak a fair bit about ethics in wildlife tourism. Could you share your thoughts on the importance of respecting the wild when participating in these safaris? Oh, that one is important. That one is super interesting.
Yes, I mean, so simple way is we are going into a forest to photograph animals, and we need to respect them in their habitat. So, just for an example, if a tiger is sleeping, we don't need to disturb it so that it lifts its head and we get the right shot. So, that is the smallest part of how ethical photography has to be done. You shouldn't disturb anything to create a photograph. What is happening, and you have to make the best of it. And that's something that we all must respect when we enter any wildlife area.
I totally agree with you. Fully agree. I think, the animals are so much under pressure right now, with all the humans being everywhere, destroying their habitat, destroying their environment. And we should not try to take a photo just because we are here and to make the animal move or go to a different place, or, get out of the car and make the tiger move or something like this. We should really be careful about that, because I don't think it's worth it, and it's not fair, because the animals, they give us so much. They let us come close. They let us um how to say, be with them, and then we should really respect their life as well. When you go deep inside forests or hilly areas, what is the biggest difficulty you face while taking photos?
When you go deep inside forests, hilly areas, what's the biggest
The
difficult?
light. For me, it's the light.
Light, light, and sometime your gear, because you have to carry your tripod. You have to carry, if you're carrying multiple bodies or lenses, then you have your camera bag. So in a hilly area, that's always the toughest thing is carrying your equipment from point A to point B.
Yeah, I agree, especially when it's hot and
Yeah.
it's not fun. And especially done like when you see the animal, then to be calm, to be relaxed and take your perfect shot is not easy. It's really challenging, in my opinion. Um,
Yes, yes.
so
Um,
I lost the questions here.
have
You
you ever
guys, you
faced
guys
this?
have a lot of questions. Have you ever faced a situation where you felt unsafe or stuck while doing photography?
Not yet.
Never, never happened to me as well. I had weird situations where people popped up out of the nowhere. Um, but yeah, I think this emergency thing we already covered, how you usually manage without a mobile signal. Well, someone has to walk. Uh, and it's not like, it's not like in those parks that of course, there are dangerous animals, but they would not immediately jump on you and kill you if you leave the car. So
Exactly.
they would just walk away. They would be maybe curious on what is that guy doing here, but they would not just come and eat you. It's not
Because
what
one
happened.
very important thing to understand is that an animal will not attack you unless it's threatened somehow. So if it does not have any threat from you, it has no reason to attack you because you're not part of the food chain anymore. Humans are not part of the forest for a long, long time. So they do not look at us as food, or they just might see some threat, might feel some threat, and then you might have a freak accident that happens. So unless you threaten an animal, they shouldn't have a reason to harm you.
Mhm. I'll just pick one because all of them we cannot answer all of them. Um, Do you think tourists or new photographers feel a bit afraid to explore some places because of safety issues? Absolutely. I think this is one of the reasons why we are doing this all together. Because I know doing the step to go to India, if you've never been there, if you maybe don't speak perfect English or you're a bit afraid of that, um, it's hard to go alone, right? So that's why we go together. I can guide you with all my knowledge. I know what your expectations is from a European point of view because I know how you live, how you think, how you feel, but I can also translate that to the Indian culture. And that's, I think, super important. And then you feel safe and there's no issue at all. Um, and also we have Ratik or one of the guys with us who knows everything and they will help us out in any situation, right? Um, have you traveled in northeast of India, Ratik? For
Uh,
you, I haven't.
I have traveled in Northeast India, not very extensively, but I've done Kaziranga and done Singilila. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to be doing Namdapha very soon and Northern Sikkim,
That sounds cool.
hopefully in the next few months. Yeah.
Super cool. Okay, guys, I think that's it with all the questions with our really nice short webinar about India. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that the recording worked as it should. Let's hope for that. And I will share the recording with all of you afterwards. Thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to Ratik or the guys. We are happy to assist you with any question. Um, Another question, detail explain about your Northeast India. You want to do it or should we?
I mean, there isn't much to explain in this. I mean, it was very simple. We did multiple drives in Kaziranga for elephants, water buffaloes, and rhinos. I was lucky to see a tiger in Kaziranga, which was my first tiger in the wild, so it was very special. And it was amazing. I mean, it was our last drive, evening drive. We're sitting, and my guest John, he's like, Ratik, I have this frame with elephants and rhinos. All I need is a tiger. And as a joke, I told him, yes, the tiger's going to come. And then next thing you know, the rhino chases and a tiger leaps out of the grass and then disappears. So that was very interesting. And we went to see the gibbons somewhere close by. And the other area that I explored was Singilila, which was all foot, Lat Panchar and Rongtong for birding, where we recorded, I think, over 126 bird species in 7 days. So that is all of my Northeast experience for now.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Okay, let's close this session now. If you have any more questions, you can reach out to Ratik just using Instagram, Gaia Tales, or maybe via email. I think he has so much to share. Um, and if you have any questions about these two particular trips, just come to me. I'm happy to discuss any questions you might have, and I'm really looking forward to meet you. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.